I was kind of hoping, I mean, you know me, and this will not come as a surprise, but I was really hoping to see some double Stargate play, man. When Home Story Cup was announced and you know, everybody was like playing the new patch, they were all like, double Stargate is all the rage. And, you know, the boys are just building Phoenixes and carriers and shield batteries. And I was like, yes. And they're like, man, this patch is perfect for stats. But they stopped doing it very quickly. And maybe they've died to a couple of Queen Roach attacks. Maybe they've died to Nidus a couple of times. I don't know what it is. But I would have loved to see some double Stargate play out of sets.
Yeah.
Maybe if he doesn't do it this game, he does it the next. Who knows?
Do you think that Nightshade would have been a great map to do it on?
Maybe not the greatest, but definitely a decent one. I guess Eternal Empire is better.
Yeah, so that was my next point, which is, like, I feel like Nightshade is a decent one, especially if you want to play Bio in ZVT, but then they went with stats on this one, and he's also not using a strategy that could have been cool on this one. So I'm just like wondering what went through the Korean lineup. It's kind of hard to tell at the moment, but I feel like that's a decent map because you know that most of it is going to be, well, it will be ZVT because Zugalian and Serral are both Zergs. They are the only ones that are remaining. Looking at it right now, we've got a pretty decent setup for a macro game coming in. We've got an Infestation Pit coming on the side of the side of Zerg, which interests me a little bit because we've seen melee, we've seen Banelings. I expected maybe a Hydra Den, something along those lines of Ling Baneling Hydra, but we do have the Infestation Pit.
I think it's going to be some good old
Swarmers, but like no Nidus to connect with.
No, but it doesn't have to be Nidus, right? I mean, obviously it's
we've seen it earlier. With Drogo against Raynor.
So 3 more drones do go down. Can we take a look at the amount of drones that have gone down in this game? Because we were chit-chatting away a little too much. It's 8. Now 8 is obviously a decent number, but I don't think that's something that Serral is really going to lose sleep over. All right, I did not expect that. That's a very quick hive. That's a very quick Spire. So obviously this is kind of smelling like Brood Lords at this point.
Of course.
But that's funny, because normally if Serral wants to go Brood Lords, he would open up with a couple of Mutas, right? And maybe keep the Protoss busy, and then like followed up with a big wave of Roach, Ling, Ravager, Bane, and then he goes into Brood Lords. I don't often see him just go straight into Broods without really applying any pressure.
But at the moment, he's just playing super passive.
At the moment, he's in trouble. Let me put it like that. Because 62. These force fields go down, these 2 Queens go down. Serral really doesn't have a lot at all. He's got a lot of drones, but I don't think he was expecting this move out. 3 Immortals. Oh, Stats.
Come on, Stats.
Yeah, Stats doesn't know what we know. Like, it's very easy for us to be like, Stats, get in there, matey. But he doesn't know that.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things, right? Like, as you're stepping on creep, like, how much units does he have?
Yeah, like, you don't know, because you're surrounded by creep, and you're like, if 24 Banelings roll in from every angle, we are sitting here and be like, oh, no, Stats, you can't do that. You can't be that deep on creep without knowing what's there.
Yeah.
Oh boy, if Stats could resume this game from replay and he 8 clicks there, I think Serral is in all the trouble. It hurts me to say it, but probably get a couple Tempest.
No, really? Are you sick, Ratty?
Nah, I'm not sick, but in this situation,
it might actually be the actual case. So, right now, Serral going for an attack and trying to grab himself a couple of units away. Now, those force fields did happen a little bit too late, so those units will escape safely. Oh, do we have any Corruptors on the map? I don't think we do, right?
There's our Fleet Beacon, by the way.
Okay, Fleet Beacon coming in, but no Corruptors. So the Broodlords could already be morphing, but Serral did max on that Roachling, Baneling, Ravager kind of composition, so doesn't have the opportunity to fill up all of this with Corruptors.
Run by. Actually, he gets a couple of probes there. Obviously, +2 is done. They will one-shot those workers. 17 more Banes. By the way, Nightshade is a very tricky map. Like, it may not look like much, but all this low-grade high ground in the middle of the map is very deceiving. And often units can just suddenly roll down a ramp, and if you're not ready for it, Banelings connecting with your High Templars, that could be devastating. So it's really important to have an Observer or a Prism with your army.
How can this fight go well for Stats? He will have to have the most amazing storms. He will react a little bit to that Baneling run by here. Only 9 probes.
This is nice.
Quote unquote. Samzel is going to go for a counter attack on the right side. And Stats is setting himself for a strong attack. He does have the vision over this ledge here. So he knows that a lot of units out there. So he's going to preemptively storm here.
Gotta be very careful. There were 3 Ravages, by the way, in range of that War Prism. I'm a little bit surprised to see Serral didn't try to go for it, but maybe he was looking elsewhere.
Mothership coming in the production tab as well as +3 attack. Still no Broodlords in the production tab. Serral wants to win. Serral wants to live that attack. But now Baneling's coming from every single side of the Templars. Can you pick it up in the Warp Prism? The answer is no. And all those Banelings getting so much AoE damage onto those Archons and Immortals. But still, Stats with a decent army here trying to take the fight against those lonely Roaches and Ravagers.
A lot of those units are very low on HP though. I must say I'm very surprised to see a couple of those Immortals truly living up to their name and being immortal. I think it's awesome that Serral had a couple of extra Banelings there in the end. Otherwise 6 Zealots suddenly could have really messed him up. I thought that was going to be a lot worse for Stats than how it turned out. But I also refuse to call it a victory.
Okay, let's see. The Mothership is about to come out as we have +2 attack. Still working on those air upgrades, which is obviously super important as we're getting into ultra late game. Got also the Pathogen Glands for the Infestors. Grabbing those with 75 energy means that you will have some fungal ready as soon as they pop out.
Serral's economy is mental, man. 87 drones. Yep. That was a very expensive fight for him before because he used an insane amount of Banelings, but he got away with it. He's surviving, and now he's getting 5 more Corruptors. I'm not sure if Serral already knows about the Mothership being out or not. And even though I'm not a fan of the Mothership, if there are no Vipers on the map, if the Corruptor count is low, then suddenly the Mothership can actually be a very positive impact here because it can make it a little bit harder for Serral to figure out where the High Templars are and how many High Templars there are underneath this Mothership.
Yeah, of course, that's going to make a lot of difference here. A couple of Stalkers have been whapped in. Super offensive Blink used here as we have a massive Zealot run by on the south side. Stats is playing it pretty well at the moment. He's pulling the army away from his main army. He's got the Mothership, he's got Templars on the right side. Here, some Banelings are rolling in towards those Zealots. But for now, Serral is just going to wait for a little bit as he's got his first Broodlords about to pop out. The first one gets sniped in the top side. Nice storms. So many Banelings and Zerglings just died to those 2 storms.
Yeah, those storms were massive. The Mothership is tanking quite a bit of damage as well. The Queens are still in the backline. More Banelings are rolling forward. It's a really good fight for Stats so far, but is it going to be good enough? Does he still have a Prism here? Is there a Prism nearby?
Yeah,
yes, there is.
No Prism. That's so sad actually because
there is a Prism.
Yeah, there is. Okay, sorry about that. But lots of Stalkers actually being whopped in, but the Remax here on Zerglings is actually working wonders. 6-7 Stalkers are still there and GG gets cold.
You know, one of my other passion other than the soup is the prize money. And Serral is in 2nd place in all-time rankings on Starcraft 2 at slightly less than 800k, which is actually already kind of absurd. Maru is around $9,000 ahead. If Team Finland was to win here, he wouldn't overtake Maru, but he would get pretty close.
Why? If he's $9,000 ahead, he would.
Yeah, but like the prize is split in 3.
Yeah, but 40,000 split by 3 is always more than 9,000.
40,000 is the overall prize pool, not the first place, I believe.
Oh, you are right, Todd. I apologize.
I'm always right.
You are very smart when it comes to numbers.
Stats going for Stargates, not too surprising considering how insanely... By the way, like that's... Oracle control earlier
that's good.
Is immaculate. I'm like, all right. It's like watching Lomachenko box. I'm like, I don't even want to box ever. Like, this guy is just a goat and I just want to watch him. It's the same thing here. I'm like, I don't even want to make oracles. Like, I could never even live up to like 5% of what this guy is able to do with them.
I think Trap is also absolutely amazing to give credit to another Korean Protoss.
Absolutely.
And of course, you can't really sleep on Zest either, but yeah, these guys, they are out of this world.
They really pushed the micro to its full potential.
I never really got it because I feel like the micro of Oracles is so odd, and perhaps it's even more odd right now, since obviously the Oracle went through a couple of changes in the most recent patch. That's not the way you want to start off your Oracle harass, my friend, as it flies straight into 2 Queens and takes quite a bit of damage. Obviously a very clean start for Serral. Like, if I go back, I thought a lot about that first game that these two had. And it's not that Serral played bad, because I think Stats just played amazing, but I did feel that there was a little bit of a lack of effort almost from Serral, that he didn't try to make plays happen. And if you want to beat one of the best Protosses in the world, you gotta make stuff happen. On World of Sleepers, he really did make stuff happen. This game's over. The Queen is gonna drop and it's gonna kill the Oracle, or maybe the Spore Crawler killed it. I don't know what happened. Meanwhile, our game sounds disappeared.
Yeah, but hopefully it'll be back. I think it's just very quiet. Okay, dropped a bunch. But yeah, Baneling Nest on the way. But this time, playing with the double Evo, we're seeing the +1 missile and +1 melee like Serral. He was confident to get the double upgrade as opposed to the just one that we saw previously.
Drop a Lord as well, by the way.
Yeah, 5 Overlords just finished. So it's going to go into heavy unit production here. Already being on 74 drones is obviously very ideal. The creep spread is progressing forward, and Serral I'm liking his position here in this game.
I'm loving his position.
Right after that, your priority is to go back home and macro. So he went back home, probably started a bunch of buildings, started a new base.
This is the stuff that I kind of missed, right, on Nightshade, where Serral was just sitting back, was just stacking up, and sure, he was going for a good engagement, but he wasn't really making any real damage happening. Now, he is relentless. He's going for the Baneling drop, and immediately he queues up the Link drop as well. At the same time, Serral is hitting on the south side. There is a War Prism, though, and a War Prism with 2 Archons can do a lot against Links and Banes, but these Archons are so low in HP, Todd.
Oh my god.
Oh my...
They're surviving?
What? He had no shields left. What is that? That's like 4 HP.
15 kills, and the other one very, very low as well. Now going into Storm.
That was really
Still
good.
killed a lot of probes, but they're still 60, to be honest. Stats not out of it.
Imagine if he doesn't have the Prism there, then he loses those Archons too, and then it's just a disaster.
That would be a disaster.
83 probes though for Stats. Imagine if Stats takes a phenomenal fight.
Yeah.
And all the good that Serral did suddenly doesn't matter anymore.
And I think he just counters attack, especially with the Prism he can reinforce. I love that Prism blood base.
No, that's so smart. This is actually the way you should be playing. Very well done by Stats.
And Serral's doing a good job of not getting impatient, by the way, because he dealt a ton of damage. It would be so tempting to actually go for a really bad fight. He's baiting some storms. I'm surprised he stopped dropping Banelings.
Look at the minimap. He could actually surround his army, Todd. There are links coming in from the left side now as well. The force fields don't cover everything on the right side. The storms are sick, but all of these Immortals are still going to fall. And that is obviously bad news bear for Team South Korea. That last Archon will go down as well. Stats is forced to bring a couple of other units. Now that wasn't cheap for Serral, but that's still nice because basically all of the Immortals are gone.
And now a Mothership starts for Stats. He wants to get the cloaking device here for his army, be able to defend better against all of these attacks. Stats hasn't really been able to be aggressive himself. There hasn't been a Prism headed across the map here. He's had to keep that defensively. Oh my god, the storms are going to be massive!
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
These were very good storms indeed. Serral bleeding out a lot of Zerglings and Banes. A couple of Corruptors will be added to the mix. Obviously, Serral's economy is insane, but don't ignore the economy of Stats. It's also pretty damn sick, and now Stats is going to try to go up to 5 bases as well.
Oh my god, he's cornered!
On creep is hard though. It's so almost impossible to split your Zealots. I think Stats agrees with us. The creep is kind of disgusting this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
there are no Tempest yet, Todd. There isn't really a good answer now. There is Storms and there are Archons, but how do you get those Archons underneath those Broodlords? That is the big question now.
Oh my god, there's so many Broodlords. Queens are there for transfusions as well. Storm is going to land on top of some of these Broodlords. There is so many of them. Stats might have to evacuate this base.
And a Baneling run by Habit at the 4th base during all of this. As Crow showing us as well, 17 more probes went down. Serral is not messing around, but Stats is still maxed out. Maybe you fly the Mothership in and you try to recall the army underneath Serral's army. I think that's the only play. No, he's going to go for the Time Warp instead.
I don't think that's a good idea. That's really not going to do that much here. Broodlords flying back to safety. Serral's going to re-engage. He doesn't pull back with the Baneling, so a lot of those are going to get stormed and killed very quickly, but there's no transition into Tempest available. He's just going for Stalker, so he's going to hope for Serral to run out of Grand Army, and then he's going to go for the Blink. No! He goes for the Blink first and foremost. Those Stalkers are going to get killed so quickly.
Yep, there isn't that much anti-air left in his army anymore. He's going to blink forward one more time. Can the Ravages and Roaches keep these Broodlords safe? A few Broodlords did go down, but now the Lynx will start reinforcing as well. 70 additional Zerglings on the way. I gotta say, I think Stats did a really good job there and just not completely losing everything. But it's hard to really call that a victory as well with the amount of damage he did. But he somehow kept his 5th base alive.
He's chasing.
Yeah, that's maybe a little too much, man. I don't know if I would recommend that move.
Okay, so almost moved too far away from his Broodlords to be able to help them. Actually, he might have here for a second. 2 of those are going to die before the engagement takes place.
The Lynx around on creep. That means that all of these units are going to disappear so quickly. And Stats, you overextended here, my friend. You're going to lose pretty much absolutely everything other than the Mothership. That was expensive.
Yeah, usually it's the other way around. Yeah, just the Mothership dies. Gets abducted and it's minus 400, 400. Now it's like 400, 400 escapes. Everything else died.
Yeah, Lambo's going to be like, Mothership was really good there. I was like, Lambo! Stop it, Lambo!
And Stats' economy, he's just in shambles at this point. I mean, he's had to spend everything that he had. He just wasn't cost effective for the longest time now. Serral looking to try and close things out. He's got all the economy in the world being on 6 bases.
The sickest thing there is that it wasn't just a link surround, but it was a link surround on individual units, right? They didn't surround the army. No, they slipped through the cracks and then they surrounded everything as well. I mean, then the DPS of all those links is just absolutely insane. Of course, supported by Broodlings as well. And What are Stalkers gonna do against Broodlord Infested, Todd? Only 5 Stalkers at this point as well. I think you gotta send the Mothership in, Todd, and go for the absolute YOLO recall. Try to recall.
Yeah, but he can get neuraled. There is neural, right?
Yes, there is. It just finished up. I don't know. I really don't know what you do here. You need Carriers or Tempest, and I don't see either of those 2 units on the battlefield.
I love how he time warps. Call that a warning. Do not go forward.
Well, this time, Stats sees no choice but to evacuate this 5th base. He does have a new 5th base in the left bottom side of the map. He could maybe transfer a couple of these workers there. The Oracle gets neuraled.
And he tags the Protoss army. That's amazing. That's Serral's vision.
Yeah, so like,
how does it feel?
Makes the Mothership useless as well.
Oh my god, he blinks forward. Here we go. Fungal's gonna land. Time Warp gets used. Serral's gonna camp on creep with the Spores, and I mean, he's killed the key base of Stats. He's got all the economy in the world behind this. More Infestors gonna be added on. Stats running out of options. He's getting desperate. He's gonna blink forward again, but he gets Fungal one more time.
Yep, starting to really run out of storms at this point as well. Yes, there are still plenty of Archons in the mix, but these Archons, they will just not get in range. Serral is still maxed out. Serral still has money in the bank, and I don't think it's going to be back-to-back for South Korea. I think Finland is going to be the champion of Nation Wars 2019.
Yeah, these Broodlords are being left uncontested for the most part. They're being escorted around by Banelings. Infestors are gonna neural a lot of the Protoss units here. Some Archons being controlled. Broodlords being left untouched for the longest time, and there's just not the Tempest to deal with them. It's just a full ground army, which is not enough. They can just turn around and kill everything. The Mothership's gonna be left on his own. The Prism Micro! Oh my god, he's baiting so many of his brooding shots.
Yeah, but he's still gonna end up losing the Archon. I think Stats knows it as well. GG gets gold, and Finland will be your champion of Nation Wars 2019.